Just when you thought the new car market couldn't possibly get another small SUV, Volkswagen brings out this, the brand new T-Cross. But is it competitive enough to go toe-to-toe with cars such as the SEAT Arona or the Citroen C3 Aircross? Well, keep watching to find out. Let's kick things off with the engine because, well, there's just one to choose from. It is a 1 litre 3-cylinder turbocharged petrol which offers either 95 horsepower or 115 horsepower, which is what I've got here. It also has 200 newton meters of torque, and this engine can be mated to a 6-speed manual gearbox or a 7-speed DSG. If you go for the 95 horsepower engine, that can only be mated to a 5-speed manual. When you mate it to a 6-speed manual, like I have here, you will hit 62 miles per hour in 10.2 seconds and continue to a top speed of 120 miles per hour. But what about economy? On a combined run, this engine offers 48.2 mpg, and in regard to emissions, this has 112 grams per kilometre of CO2. But what about the cost? The new T-Cross starts from £16,995, which is actually cheaper than the base model SEAT Arona, believe it or not. Okay, so there's only £200 in it, give or take, but it all counts. Also, the T-Cross comes with more safety kit as standard, a bigger boot and a larger touchscreen, although the base model Arona does get bigger alloys if that matters to you. The base model T-Cross is called S and offers standard features such as 16-inch alloys, LED rear lights, 8-inch touchscreen, DAB radio, Bluetooth, smartphone connectivity, autonomous emergency braking, lane keep assist, air conditioning, front and rear electric windows, LED daytime running lights, plus more. The car seen here, however, is the SEL trim level, which starts from £21,665. This trim level offers 17-inch alloys, although the model seen here has got the optional 18-inch alloys instead. Other standard features include navigation, front and rear parking sensors, climate control, adaptive cruise control, and LED headlights, to name a few. So this is a first drive video, so this is not a full-blown review or a comprehensive review. These are really my first thoughts. And I've driven this car for about 10 minutes or so now, and I have to say first impressions are most definitely good. So this is built on the same platform as the Volkswagen Polo, but of course this car is a little bit bigger, it's a little bit taller, with it being an SUV or a crossover. Some of you may think, well, why buy this over a Polo? Well, of course you get a higher, more commanding driving position, you get more space, and of course you get a bigger boot. Now the Polo offers 355 litres when it comes to boot space, whereas this car offers a minimum of 385, but the rear seats do slide backwards and forwards. Slide the rear seats forward and you'll get 455 litres, which is more than the SEAT Arona, but not quite as much as the Citroen C3 Aircross. That has 520 litres, that boot is gargantuan. However, 455 litres should be more than enough for everyday family life, but you can of course fold the rear seats down to give you 1,281 litres worth of space. But what about rear space? Well, as always, the driver's seat has been altered for me. I'm 6'2", so I am of course a taller chap, but even so, rear space is pretty good. I've got a good amount of knee room, and I've also got plenty of leg room as well. But what about headroom? Well, again, that is very agreeable indeed. But could you fit 3 people in here? I think it would be a little bit tight. The middle seat, as you would predict, is quite slim, and the transmission tunnel is also quite thick and quite hefty. So if you were to be sat in the middle, you obviously won't have as much space as those either side of you. Headroom is still okay though, I haven't got as much. Apologies guys, you can't really see, but I will cut away to a different angle where you can see the headroom in the middle. But yes, I think really best reserved for 2 adults, but for 3 children it should be fine. So overall, the rear space back here is pretty good. Oh, I've got to say, you also get 2 USB ports in the back, and the door bins are also of a decent size, so well done Volkswagen, good for practicality. But anyway, that's the practicality. What is the car like to drive? Well, as you would expect, being from the Volkswagen Automotive Group, it feels very similar to the Arona I drove a while back. If you haven't watched that video, please feel free to watch it. The link for it is in the top right hand corner of your screen. So let's talk about how this engine performs. Well, it's pretty nippy, it's pretty peppy. You may look at it and think, well, 115 horsepower isn't really that much, particularly in a car of this size. Now, this car isn't massive, and in fact, believe it or not, this is actually Volkswagen's first ever small SUV. I know, crazy. Volkswagen has been around for years and they've made many SUVs, but this is their first step into this area of the market. So this car is important for Volkswagen. But anyway, going back to the engine, yes, this 1 litre unit performs pretty well. It feels quite flexible, even on faster roads. I wouldn't say it feels underpowered. Let's talk about the gearbox. So as I mentioned earlier, you can have a 7-speed DSG if you prefer, but I've got the 6-speed manual, which has a really nice change to it. It's quite snappy, it's quite short, and it's got quite a robust feeling to it. A pleasant gear change. Now, what are my first impressions of the ride? The ride is pretty good. This car is riding on 18-inch alloys, and the ride is a little bit lumpy at times, but only at times. For the most part, the car rides fine. Now, there is a bit of tyre noise coming into the cabin, and a little bit of wind noise, but apart from that, it's pretty quiet in here. But yes, I think you would definitely notice the tyre noise. It's not deafening, but yeah, it is audible. But anyway, back onto the comfort. This is a comfortable car. The seats are nice and supportive. They've got a good amount of bolstering as well. Not that you're going to be doing any really hard driving in this car, but my point is, they do hold you in place quite nicely. And the interior, as you would expect from a Volkswagen, is finished nicely. Okay, it's not quite as quirky as other small SUVs out there, but I think it's finished quite nicely, and it's quite classy. Mind you, if you fancy your T-Cross with a bit more flair, then take a look at the energetic orange pack, which gives you a bold dashboard and equally bold design to the seats, as well as orange alloys, which, to be honest, aren't really to my taste, but that's subjective, of course. In slow-moving traffic, the brakes are a little bit sharp. Now, obviously, this is a brand new car, so obviously the longer you drive the car, the brakes will bed in a bit more. And in fact, this car hasn't even been run in. It's done 695 miles, so this is almost straight off the factory line, so to speak. But yes, the brakes are a little bit grabby in slow-moving traffic. Let's talk about the rest of the driving sensation. The steering is quite well weighted. Quite like it. It's not too light, but of course it's not too heavy, so this car will be easy to manoeuvre around town, which is, let's face it, where this car will spend a lot of its life, in the urban jungle. I've got no issue with visibility, and what I think is really good, even on the base model, you get blind spot warning, which I think is a nice touch, and you also get lane keep assist, which again I think is a nice touch. Helps to give better safety. Now, this car is yet to be crash tested by Euro NCAP, but bearing in mind other Volkswagen SUVs have got 5 stars and the Volkswagen Polo has got 5 stars, you can pretty much bet your bottom dollar this car will also get 5 stars. As well as the blind spot monitoring and the lane keep assist, I've also got autonomous emergency braking and 6 airbags in case all else fails. So if you're looking for a small SUV, which will be safe for your family, give this car a look. Right, let's see what this car is like when you're able to stretch its legs a little bit. I must say, it does make progress well. Also, whilst I'm down here, I can also try out the lane keep assist. So gotta go out my lane. There we go, it pulls me back in. That works pretty well. And the handling's pretty good. Yes, there is a bit of body roll, of course, but this car actually feels quite capable in the bends. Grip is pretty good as well. Now, just a quick one. This car is not available as 4-wheel drive, so this is front-wheel drive only. And some of you may think, oh, well, it's not a proper SUV, then what's the point? But let's face it, so many of these kind of cars are sold without 4-wheel drive, so this isn't exactly anything new. And to be fair, is this really a car you'd want to take off-road? Probably not. This is more for the concrete jungle as opposed to an actual jungle. Not that you'd probably take this into a jungle, but you get my point. So guys, that is my quick spin in the 1 litre SEL model. So what will I jump into next? Well, today's quite unpredictable, so I will click my fingers and I'll be in the next car, whatever that may be. 1, 2, 3. Ooh, and there we are. I'm now in the SE trim level, which is just below the SEL, and I've got the 95 horsepower 1 litre engine. So what are my first impressions? Well, because this car doesn't have a steering wheel that adjusts for rake and reach, I can't get quite as comfortable. So if you are picky with your driving setup, then bear that in mind, because this car does not have a rake and reach steering wheel. Also, this car has lost the climate control. I haven't got the active info display in front of me, although that was an option on the SEL anyway. But I still get the pleasant 8-inch touchscreen, and I do have navigation, although I'm pretty sure that is an option on this car. And I would be correct, as it's only the SEL and the R-Line that get navigation as standard, not the SE or indeed the S. What does the SE offer though? Well, priced from £18,805, it offers the same features as the base model of course, but adds features such as 17-inch alloys, front fog lights, leather steering wheel, automatic headlights, adaptive cruise control and driver alert system, to name a few. But so far this engine performs well. It's not quite as peppy as the 115 horsepower unit of course, but that is to be expected. Does it feel underpowered? Well, it's difficult to say just yet, because I'm yet to really open the taps on the car. But so far, through normal, standard driving, it feels just fine. Now, I haven't got a 6-speed manual for this car. I do, in fact, have a 5-speed manual instead. And if you want to have this engine with a DSG, well, you can't have one. You can only have that with the 115 horsepower engine. But this 5-speed works pretty well. It's not quite as slick as the 6-speed manual, but it's not far behind. Sadly, I didn't get a chance to go out in a DSG model, so I can't tell you what it's like, but I have driven the same engine and the same transmission in an Arona, and I did find it to be a little bit lackluster, if I'm going to be honest, although that was tested on a brief drive. Yeah, the performance is okay, but quite quickly I would say I would recommend you have a look at the more powerful unit. However, could you get by with this engine? Yes, you could. So as well as 95 horsepower, I've also got 175 Newton meters of torque. So this car will hit 62 miles per hour in 11.5 seconds and continue to a top speed of 112 miles per hour. In regard to economy, on a combined run, this engine offers 48.6 on a combined run, and it emits 112 grams per kilometre of CO2, the same as the engine I drove earlier. Unlike the SEL I drove earlier, the SE had 17-inch alloys, so was there a noticeable change in ride comfort? The ride is more compliant, it's not quite as busy, it's not quite as firm. There we have it. So if you want better comfort in the T-Cross, I'd urge you to opt for the 17-inch alloys and not the 18-inch alloys. Let's see how this engine performs when you take it on a faster road. So far so good. Like the 115 horsepower unit I drove earlier, this car performs well. I have to say, even though this car only has 95 horsepower, it doesn't feel underpowered. They made pretty good progress through there without really needing a lot of work. With this engine, whether it's town driving or faster country roads, it pretty much takes it in its stride. It performs well. Of course, it's not quite as peppy as the 115 horsepower unit, but would I call it sluggish? No. So my day with the brand new Volkswagen T-Cross has come to an end, but my first impressions are good. It's a good car to drive, it's smartly finished if you ask me, it looks good, it offers a good amount of space, and it'll be pretty frugal. Now some buyers may want a better choice of engines, but I think this 1 litre engine will cater for most people. So to sum up, the T-Cross, I think Volkswagen is onto a winner here. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you have enjoyed it. If so, give it a massive thumbs up. If you are subscribed, don't forget to click that bell icon so you get notified every time I make a video. And if you aren't subscribed, guys, what are you waiting for? Be sure to subscribe for more car obsession.